Cold as me. Cold as me. Cold as me. You're not as cold as me. Cold as me. Cold as me. Cold as me. Motherfucker, stop pretending. Stop pretending. Stop pretending. You're not as cold as me. Cold as me. Cold as me. Cold as me. Motherfucker, stop pretending. Stop pretending. Stop pretending. Stop. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. You're not as cold as me. I don't give a fuck. Cold as me. Cold as me. Cold as me. Cold as me. Motherfucker, stop pretending. Stop pretending. Stop pretending. Stop. In a world of violence. Motherfucker, stop pretending. Stop pretending. Stop pretending. Stop pretending. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. You're not as cold as me. I don't give a fuck. Cold as me. Cold as me. Cold as me. Cold as me. Motherfucker, stop pretending. Stop pretending. Stop pretending. Stop.
In my heart, you're back again. The start of nothing. I felt it hard, came
my face, smiling at the thought of a warm embrace. Looking for a friend that I can't replace. You might be the one, so I'm gonna say I've been on that love drunk prohibition, but thinking that you might be my new addiction. You can call it 2020 kind of view, 'cause we can quarantine just me and you. Find myself in another space, counting the days till I see your face. On my own, those feelings now erase. I'll say it one more time, just in case. I've been on that love drunk prohibition, but thinking that you might be my new addiction. You can call it 2020 kind of view, 'cause we can quarantine just me and you.
What is up, Level Up Nation, and welcome to the January 14th edition of Level Up Live, your home for gaming and esports news, brought to you by OTN Media. My name is Fiasco. You can call me John. We're all cool. We're all friends here. And the dude next to me bobbing his head as if he could hear the music. I don't think you actually can hear the music when it plays, though, Joey. It is the king of the courtside, Joey. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, I can here and there. It'll go in like little spurts. Like when you talk, sometimes it overlays it because it goes through Discord. So sometimes I'm just having to guess where the bob should happen. And it doesn't always work out the way I want to. But hey, we are here. It is a Thursday. We have a lot more energy than we did on Monday. Not a ton more news, but we do have some big stories to hit on.
All right. So before we kick things off, Nation, if you're not doing so already, you are doing it horribly wrong. And of course, I'm talking about following the show on social media. Make sure you follow LvLUp Live on Twitter and Facebook at LvLUp Live. That's LvLUp Live. I believe Instagram's on there as well, but that is OTN Media. So you definitely want to check that out as well. And while you're on Twitter, fun fact, I hear this guy named Joey, aka Courtside King. I hear he's on Twitter as well. Just throw him a follow. Just a cool little pity follow. Like he's not listening. He can't hear you right now. Just give him a follow. And while you're there, give me a follow too. I'm not going to beg. I'm just going to say, just shoot a follow, because if you want to be up to date with the latest and greatest in gaming and esports news, you need to be following the show, Courtside King and Fiasco, at least on Twitter. And Nation, as always, if you wish to listen to the podcast version of the show, LvLUp Podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And since you're listening to the podcast already, leave us a review. Reviews do go a long way, not just helping reach new listeners, but giving critical feedback to Joey and myself and what you, the viewer and the listener, want to see and hear here on LvLUp Live. So feedback is always appreciated. All right, Joey. It is Thursday. It is Friday Eve. It is the night before Friday, before the weekend. Hump Day was yesterday. We're not even going to include that. Joey, what are we talking about today on Thursday, January 14th in 2021?
I don't think I've ever heard it put that way. The night before Friday, before the weekend. I thought you were going to go into like the nightmare before Christmas or something there for a minute. But yeah, that's how we ended up going. Not a ton on today's slate, to be honest. It should be a little bit of a shorter episode, talking a little bit about some content creator additions, some new partnerships, as well as some re-ups for partnerships. We're going to dive into a few game delays as well as some new game announcements. And I think the biggest topic of today's show will be Lucasfilm Games. We talked a bit about it on Monday, but since then we've had two game announcements coming out. So diving into a newly announced Indiana Jones game as well as a new Star Wars game and what that could mean for Star Wars universe, really anyone looking into the Star Wars universe from the gaming perspective. So diving pretty darn deep into that today.
I'm going to sum it all up for you in 2 words: nerd stuff. Let's do it, Joey. All right, sir, before we can even start the show, it's Thursday. Back in college, we called it Thirsty Thursday. In the adulting world, we still call it Thirsty Thursday. Joey, I know on Monday you were feeling a little under the weather. I'm hoping you have improved enough to now include alcohol in your big boy drink.
No alcohol as of yet. The only alcohol I'm having tonight, John, is going to be some NyQuil a little bit later on. Still trying to get over this lingering cough, so taking my time to get over it. It seems like every time I have beer or wine, it ends up just getting a little bit worse the next day. So hoping a full week of no alcohol will allow me to get over this so I can go nice and hard next week.
All right, Nation, you heard it. Joey's going to go hard on his drink of choice next week. I want you to hold him to it. If he doesn't, clip the segment and put it all over social media. All right, Nation. In my awesome official bar of the U.S. men's soccer team cup that I may or may not have taken without permission, that family is a dark and stormy. That is ginger ale and Kraken rum. So Joey is sipping on water, sipping on some NyQuil later on today. I am sipping on not quite gin and juice, but rum and ginger ale. Joey, we have our beverages. We know what we're talking about. There's going to be a lot of really great things here on today's episode of LvLUp Live. So let's jump right into it. Let's get right into gaming and esports news. Let's go.
Absolutely. Just want to reiterate one thing. And John, you hit on it in the opening, but some people who've heard the show for so long just kind of go over it, or maybe they skip the opening just because they know exactly what's happening. Even though you change things up and throw some fun in there, highly encourage people to listen to that. But guys, seriously, consider giving us a rating on the podcatchers you listen to, whether that be iTunes, Spotify, wherever. Preferably 4 stars or above, but really anything would be great. We'd love to hear any critique you have. You can send us to us on Twitter as well. But rating the show on this podcast really does help us out and helps grow the listener base. So we would really appreciate that. Anything else you want to say on that, John, before we jump into these spicy roster moves?
Yeah, feedback is always welcome. Look, we try to make this show what you, our viewers and listeners, want. So any kind of ratings or feedback you guys can give us, trust me, we read it all. We listen to all of it. If you've been with us over the last several years, you've seen those changes be put into place. Like, we listen intently to what you, our community, wants in this show, and we try to make it happen for you. So if you want more interviews, if you want us to focus on a specific topic a little bit more, or if there's a different league that you want to have us focus on, give us that feedback. We're here for you guys, for our community. So that feedback does go a long way, and we really do appreciate it. Whether it is positive or negative, we take it all in stride, and we use everything as constructive feedback to make the show what you want. So we do appreciate that. And please do, if you have a moment, or leave us a review, leave us a rating, or hit us up on social media. I believe our DMs are open. So you can just, message there if you don't want to make it public on the timeline, but we have multiple ways for you to hit us up. So please feel free. All feedback is awesome.
Absolutely. And with that reminder, we'll jump right into industry acquisitions and departures. Kicking things off, one trend we've seen a lot in esports right now, John, is content creators being picked up. Not just purely pro players, but big name streamers or up and coming streamers, or maybe even pro players who have moved on from playing in their pro career and moved into more of a streaming career. So we see quite a few of those here and there. One in particular, though, Gen G really making some big moves in this area this week. They have picked up Ambition, QV, Ryu Haeyong, Nemesis, Crown Shot, Emily Ghoul, and Snitchery. You got players from all over the place in there. Ambition was a world's finalist in League of Legends, went on to win the MVP as well. QV, a very famous top laner in the Korean scene. You have Nemesis and Crown Shot, played in the LEC, star players in mid lane as well as ADC. A number of people in many different esports titles here. And on top of that, Gen G making all these moves in 1 week, not simply just announcing a creator here and there, but dropping the names of about 6 or 7 big creators all at once and really jumping into the scene and expanding what they already had there.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. We've seen this trend now for the better part of a year, if not more, of content creators really taking that next step. They're no longer independent contractors, if you will. They're not there for themselves. Some of them now have backings of these major esport organizations. It's a great way for not only the streamer to grow their community, but also to bring that community into that organization as well. Maybe if someone is a neutral when it comes to the world of esports, now that Nemesis is on Gen G, they might go, "Hey, I'm going to be a Gen G fan for the titles Gen G competes in." It's a great relationship. It works both ways. The content creator gets to continue doing what they absolutely love. And the organization now also has an amazing content creator that is representing their brand, their title, their overall organization in a positive light to more people that they may or may not be able to reach out to. It's a win-win for both. And again, this still feels like it's just the beginning, even though it's been a trend that's been going on for the better part of 18, 19, 20 months now, is that we're going to continue to see this idea of content creators and esport organizations coming together grow more and more throughout 2021.
Absolutely. A trend that should just continue. We saw a lot of it in 2020. As John said, 2021 should be no different, especially with COVID still being such a big stimulation out there for the world. You're going to see a lot of people continue to look online for entertainment, and this is a big way to do that. So organizations definitely capitalizing on that as well. Over to partnerships and investments, HyperX has renewed its naming rights deal with Allied Esports for the HyperX Esports Arena in Las Vegas. This one, John, I do want to touch on a little bit. I think it's a good idea to re-up that deal. That is one of the more premier esports organizations or premier esports locations, shall we say, arenas when it comes to esports in the United States. The Esports Arena in Vegas is pretty well known. Now, with that being said, we're not seeing too many esports events happen in person this last year, and it doesn't look like 2021 will be super different for a lot of these different scenes. We saw the LCS look like they were going to try to go back to in person, and now you have a number of organizations listing out cases of COVID within their teams. You see a lot of these other esports being really having to go online just because of travel restrictions as well. So again, I like the idea of locking down the naming rights for a premier facility like the Esports Arena in Las Vegas. But on the side of HyperX, you're not really going to see too much return on that, at least in this initial year of the re-up, because you're probably not going to have too many events in person there for 2021.
Yeah, and like you said, Joe, it is still a fairly new partnership when you take a look at it. I believe it was maybe a year, maybe 2 years ago this deal initially came out here, for HyperX and the Esports Arena in Las Vegas. HyperX has to be happy with what it is so far, with how the partnership has played out, COVID aside. they're in the Luxor Hotel. They're on the Strip. It's a prime location. You're going to have foot traffic. You're going to have people interested. You're going to have family members traveling to Las Vegas with their, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds with them on a family vacation who are interested in esports. And guess what? They may be able to stop by and see this amazing arena, maybe catch an esport title or an event, or a tournament or something going on there, or they can just go by and visit. Obviously, in non-COVID times, it's probably be a little bit easier. But there's just so much potential with this partnership. I think it would be crazy if HyperX jumped off the ship now when it just has like nothing but dollar signs and green lights all over the place. Like if you're playing the slots in Vegas, this is coming up like bar. You're hitting the jackpot. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we don't really know what the terms of the deal were, how much HyperX paid, how long this deal is exactly. Not all those details are out yet. I'm curious if there was some kind of deal for this first year. Like if you sign on for 3 or 5 years, you get a discount for 2021, given all the stuff going on in the world right now. I would hope that was built in. But at the same point, if you're Allied Esports, maybe you say, we know the positivity and the big upside of this. We just sell it to you for the full rate. If you want in, you got to buy in now and you got to deal with 2021. So it could go either way there overall, but I think it is a good deal. I think HyperX gets the short end of the stick for year one here, but depending how many years they ended up signing, I think they could see quite a bit of upside. Moving over to Europe just slightly here, the LEC and Warner Music have paired up once again. We don't have to touch on this one too much. It is a renewal of a deal. So Warner Music will be providing the extensive catalog to the European competition again this year. The LEC being known for a lot of their music, a lot of their pop culture, really connections in general with that league. It kind of spans past just League of Legends. It has that nerdum feel to it. And a lot of people, whether you're a gamer, a League of Legends player, etc., can jump into it and feel very comfortable. But they've also been very hip and trendy and been able to pull in a lot more audiences as well as a result. So I think this is a great deal overall. Warner Music, one of the most well-known music labels out there, now re-upping with the LEC, continuing their trend of kind of being, in a sense, that social pop style league out there in League of Legends.
So just to give you a clue of the artists kind of included in this deal, the catalog they'll be able to have. Just going to name a few, just, to rile some people up here. Ed Sheeran. When you think esports, you definitely think of Ed Sheeran. Charlie XCX. You have Phil Collins for all the boomers out there. Jason Derulo. My favorite band, Linkin Park, is in there as well. Coldplay, Prince, David Guetta. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Wiz Khalifa, Led Zeppelin, Pitbull. Let's see. Let's name a couple more here. Let's see if we can find anything. Oh, for all you K-pop fans out there, G-Dragon. He is signed to Warner Music as well. Just to name a few, Tones and I, everyone's favorite song, Dance Monkey. There you go. LEC is going to have access to play Dance Monkey for all the clown fiestas in the LEC this upcoming season.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. So this was a re-up of a deal. I honestly don't remember that many of these songs being played, if I'm being honest, last year.
They weren't.
So apparently this was something they had access to. But I mean, and maybe it's just me as like a League of Legends fan, but I just remember the League of Legends songs and Silver Scrapes being played last year.
Yeah. I mean, Silver Scrapes obviously is going to be your iconic song going from, game 4 into game 5 of a deciding series. But yeah, it was really a lot of the old school League of Legends songs that they put out. Like even going back to the old school Pentakill days of the fake rock band that was put together for League of Legends. And now you have KDA, Riot's horrific take on K-pop, J-pop, and everything else.
I mean, we say horrific, but that thing is just popping off on worldwide charts.
I hate it because it's not good. I can't stand it.
Some of it's a little catchy.
No, it's not.
Speaking of catchy, at least when it comes to healthy food habits, Team Vitality is announcing a new partnership, a 3-year deal in this one with Aldi France. For those of you who go grocery shopping, whether it's a Giant, whether it's a Food Lion, I'm trying to think of all Shoppers, tons of different grocery stores around here. Well, some of those are copied over in Europe as well. One of those being Aldi, and they have a deal here. The purpose of the deal is to promote healthy eating. When you think grocery stores, some people don't necessarily think vegetables and fruits, but that's what they're going to try to have you think with this partnership here, saying as a gamer, even though you're over there gaming, maybe you spend a lot of time in front of the computer, healthy eating habits and proper nutrition are very important as well. So that's going to be the whole major factor of this deal, and it's going to last 3 years between Team Vitality and Aldi France.
Just real quick, a boomer moment here. Aldi's amazing.
Aldi's great.
Aldi's fantastic. It's actually German. So Germany sharing Aldi with France and Team Vitality, I think, is very generous of Germany to be sharing Aldi and with the rest of the world. Yeah, no, I freaking love Aldi. It's absolutely amazing. I love shopping there.
I think Lidl is German too, actually.
They're actually they're owned by the same parent
there
group,
you go.
which is really ironic.
And are they owned by Trader Joe's, actually?
Let's see here. You know what?
This is not a grocery store podcast.
This is not a grocery store podcast. No, let's see here. No,
I want to say they're the overarching one for all of them, but I can't remember.
Let's see here.
This week on esports.
This week
we talk
on
about
esports.
grocery stores.
Let's see here. The first Trader Joe's opened in 1967. Okay, in California. It was owned by German entrepreneur. Okay, blah, 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 blah. His family also owns Aldi, which Trader Joe belongs to. So Aldi's actually... No, Trader Joe belongs to Aldi. Aldi is the overarching company.
See, I was close. They're linked. All the same family.
Okay.
Heil grocery store. Okay, cool. G2 Esports, Sean, is next in the news. G2 Esports secured a multi-year partnership with Adidas, which was announced today via a video, including G2 owner Carlos and a handful of star players across the esports titles the org competes in. Guys, I did manage to leak this on Discord before it got announced by a whole 2 minutes. Then the video dropped, and we got to see the official announcement there. So I didn't really leak that one too early, but it's kind of cool, John. I mean, this is another big deal. It's one of those big sports apparel people like a Nike, like an Adidas in this case, signing on to esports. We've seen it before. This isn't the first time of esports and Adidas really pairing up in general, but it is one of those big deals. One, you have a huge sports apparel maker, and two, you're lining them up with one of the biggest esports organizations in all of the world, particularly in Europe, in this case with G2, and they continue to win numbers of competitions. Whether they're winning the LEC, whether they're winning over in Rainbow Six Siege, they're always up there in the top 3 contenders, really. So this is a big win for Adidas in the sense that their logo is going to be all over the place. But for G2, this is saying we're going beyond that esports realm in a sense. Esports has been that kind of nerdy culture for a while, and it's just continued to expand into traditional sports. And this is another move where it just shows like, hey, Adidas may be on these big sports jerseys, but now it's on a big esports jersey as well. So I think it's a big win for both sides overall, and I think it's a huge deal for G2 to sign.
And this is what ticks me off. I wish Cloud9 went with Adidas instead of Puma. You know, when you take a look at the brand hierarchy, obviously, you can't make an argument for anything else but this, but Nike's obviously number 1. Number 2 is Adidas. Puma, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. I don't know. You know, but when you make that kind of comparison to Puma versus Adidas and Nike, which could easily be your A tier, if you will, you know, it just doesn't make sense to go with Puma that has a hard enough time trying to stand out aside from a very small niche population. But for G2, they hit a home run. Adidas is like the holy grail of, like, in Europe at least, when it comes to like jersey manufacturers. Like, you strive as a sport organization, as a football/soccer team in Europe, to have an Adidas sponsorship, to have an Adidas jersey. Maybe you want to go with Nike. Maybe you're a little more Americanized. Manchester United. You know, so, you know, or even Tottenham, you know, they have Nike as well. They've been switching all around. They used to have Under Armour, but still, I mean, that is an absolutely fantastic deal for G2. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Schalke has Adidas jerseys as well.
I honestly don't know off the top of my head. I think someone had Umbra at one point as well.
Yeah, I think they do through Schalke's deal with their sports club. I don't know. But regardless of that, this is an esports organization making that deal. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Joey, I just want to bring one other thing up. Don't you think it's a little weird?
Schalke is Umbra.
Okay, so there you go. Here's my thing. They teased this on Twitter with, you know, 14.1.2021, which is how the Europeans put dates. They put the day, month, and year. And then later that day, Tom Holland, aka Spider-Man, puts out the same dang thing. So here I am in my own little esports world going, oh crap, Tom Holland is signing with G2. Tom Holland is investing in G2. I'm going to have to find a way to like G2 now because Tom Holland is freaking awesome. No, it wasn't. It was just Tom Holland's trailer for his upcoming movie, Cherry. Had nothing to do with G2. I feel a whole lot better. I can go back to hating on G2 now, Joey.
Yeah, I had a feeling a lot of people are getting their hopes up on that. It's jersey announcement time. This is when all those announcements are going to come out. I think Fanatics drops next week as well, and theirs is supposed to be a big deal. So you're just going to get a ton of these jerseys. It was a coincidence. It was something that I wouldn't put past G2 either, going out and finding someone big like Tom Holland, whether it's a content creator or some kind of entrepreneur with their brand. But overall, the stars did not align, at least this time. It could happen in the future. But for now, we got a nice little Adidas deal out of it. Next up, this one a little bit surprising to me. Cadillac has announced its first ever esports partnership. The part that surprises me is not Cadillac getting into esports, but who they're getting into esports with, and that is Team Solo Mid, the same team that went on to go 0-6 at Worlds this past year in League of Legends. This is interesting, John. When I think Cadillac, I think Premier. When I think TSM, they have their Premier moments, but this would not have been the pairing that I think I would have seen sign up. TSM, to me, it seems more like one of the big brands out there, but not big in the luxury brand, but more big in like the let's harass people as a big rioting esports group. I mean, they're like giant. TSM has a huge name. They're huge in NA. Whenever you go to any kind of esport event, you always hear TSM, TSM. It's a big group. It just doesn't strike me as that big, like premier group. It almost feels like a big overarching, let's come up with an automobile partner that's going to be very big and widespread. Not necessarily a Cadillac to me. So I don't know. It feels funny to line up for me. Again, no disrespect to TSM. I think they're great. They just seem like a very, very big brand, while Cadillac feels a lot more limited and luxurious in a sense.
All right, Joey, as the resident jerk here on the podcast, I just want to ask you this question. How in the world does Team Liquid have a deal with Honda, okay, and TSM gets Cadillac? To me, that needs to be flipped around. When I think TSM, right, I don't think well, you know what? Actually, I take that back. Maybe this is a deal made in heaven or hell. You know, you never know. Okay, TSM fans are annoying. It could be Team Liquid versus Team Dignitas, and they're chanting TSM because, you know, they're annoying. Cadillac drivers, quite possibly the second worst drivers to Toyota Prius drivers out there. When you see a Cadillac on the road, you know dang well that driver is completely inept to how to handle that beast of a machine they're currently driving, and they're just annoying. They're all over the road. They're just like a TSM fan, Joey. This is actually a perfect partnership. I give it my blessing. It makes total sense now.
And there goes our Cadillac sponsorship as well.
Because we had one.
I don't know. It just feels weird to me. Like TSM is just, it's such a big brand, which I think is huge. And I think is great for TSM. They strike me as someone who would have something that's a very far reaching brand. And again, Cadillac is very far reaching, but it's only going to be your top echelon buying into something like Cadillac. It's that elite core in a sense. It's like a group that is really good at something, but they're like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like it meets up as well for me, but we'll have to see how it goes. I believe it does include a jersey sponsorship, social media content, videos, experiential events and activations at the TSM Performance Center. And again, I do think it does include a jersey. I don't see that in this article, but I believe that logo will be on there as well. But yeah, it's interesting for me. Like, I think it's a great deal. I think TSM pulls in a really big brand through this. Cadillac, I think, there's tons of fans that are TSM fans, so that's a win in and of itself. The brands just don't line up as well for me. So I don't know. It'll be curious to see how it all plays out. I don't see a ton of TSM fans going out to buy Cadillacs, even if it's like parents with their child turning 16, looking at a car maybe. I just don't see, hey, mom, dad, I want to get a Cadillac because they sponsor TSM. I just don't really see that turning over too well. So I'm curious to see how this does play out in a world where we continue to see more and more automobile partnerships, which again, I think is great for automobiles. I think it's great for esports. Cadillac and TSM, there's a little bit of a disconnect for me at least.
I got it, Joey. Here's the best transportation sponsorship for TSM. You ready for this? And this is only going to be funny for people who live in the DC area.
Oh, Lord.
Metro's Red Line. Never reliable, always broken down, and it's just absolutely an awful experience. It makes sense. It works perfectly. It's great. It is the best partnership since Events DC sponsoring the Shock. I don't know. Oh no.
Okay, I just want to be clear here. TSM is great. TSM as an org has done very well successfully in esports for many years. They've had their rough cases at international competitions in League of Legends for sure. Overall, they're great. I think like you said with the Honda deal, Honda feels more like a TSM brand to me. It's something that's very far reaching. It's something out there that's very available to a lot of different people. Cadillac just feels so selective. And TSM to me, it was such a large fan base. I get it. It makes sense from a sponsorship perspective. It just doesn't align as something that is as elite as a Cadillac is.
When I think Honda Civic, I think TSM. The most generic.
Don't you like Honda or Chevrolet or something like, I don't know, something more far reaching and more available to the middle class than a Cadillac is?
I want someone to sign on with Tesla.
That would be cool. Someone with an electric, like the Guangzhou Charge. That would be lit.
I mean, pun. You know, but I think that one could be actually really cool because you see a lot of content creators and a lot of these esport pros, when they finally start getting that big money, they go out and they get themselves a Tesla. Tesla is like the icon car, if you will, in gaming and esports because it's essentially built by a nerd for nerds. It's perfect.
Absolutely. Elon Musk doing his thing all over the place, from electric cars to the stock market absolutely popping off. Speaking of popping off, John, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this next partnership. Guys, this is one I never saw coming, and I still don't really know how we got to this point, but Katy Perry and the Pokemon Company have teamed up. They'll be celebrating the 25th year of Pokemon this year, and it's going to be a year-long partnership between these two. Maybe it's just me, John, but the only relation I can really see is maybe Katy Perry played Pokemon as a kid. She did have that one song named Roar, and I'm pretty sure like Arcanine had a move called Roar. But other than that, I don't really see this connection too well.
What was that? One of her first hit songs ever was I Kissed a Pokemon and I Liked It. It was something like that. It's like, I kissed a Pikachu and I liked it. You know, something
There's
like that.
There's our DMCA coming through.
Yeah, if my voice sounds anything like Katy Perry, I should not be on this show. No, I mean, this partnership is so weird. Like, I don't know, Joe, maybe I'm going way off in left field here. Whenever I think Katy Perry now, have you ever seen the movie The Interview with James Franco and
I don't think so. I don't recognize that one.
So it's about these two news guys that go to North Korea to interview Kim Jong-un. And
yes.
He is obsessed with Katy Perry. So he's driving around in the tank, blowing things up, listening to Firework. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. But that's not all I can think of when I think of Katy Perry is Kim Jong-un in a tank blowing things up. So thank you, Hollywood. You've destroyed that song in Katy Perry for me going forward.
Oh, here we go. This is a quote from Katy Perry. Pokemon has been a constant in my life, from playing the original video games on my Game Boy to trading Pokemon TCG cards at lunch to the adventures of catching Pokemon on the street with Pokemon Go. I've even visited the Pokemon Cafe in Japan while on tour. So apparently she's a huge Pokemon fan. She goes on to say, it is an honor to be chosen to help celebrate a franchise that has given me so much joy in the last 25 years and to be able to watch it evolve in ways, she's even using puns, in ways it's provided that kind of electric joy for the kids in my life and around the world. If she was a
Pokemon, she'd be a Jigglypuff.
Why a Jigglypuff? Because she sings?
Yes.
Is that really?
And puts people to sleep.
Oh my gosh, that's so toxic. Go ahead, read your line that you're supposed to say at the end of the show. Where's your little line?
Whoa, be nice
to your fellow gamers online.
Gamers, she's not a gamer. She's a Pokemon
Did you
freak.
listen to that quote I just read?
Oh, she plays Pokemon Go. Good for her.
Oh my god.
So do millions of other people. No one's special there.
Okay, my little toxic co-host. So yes, guys, if you're into Pokemon, speaking of Pokemon, this is a little bit later in the show, but we'll announce it now. Nintendo decided to come out and announce a spring release date for new Pokemon Snap today as well. That's going to come out April 30th. Not only that, John, not only are we getting a new Pokemon Snap, not only do we have to fly to Seattle to get you to print out your Pokemon Snap pictures at the original Blockbuster there, but we're also going to get a new region as well with the Lentil region. And at least from the screenshots we saw, this looks like a very pretty region to take some photos in.
Yeah, so I officially now know what I'm going to be doing with part of my stimulus check that I got. I will be purchasing a Switch because I need to play me some Pokemon Snap. There you go. Congratulations, Nintendo. You finally cracked me. I have to get a Switch. I'm excited. It's going to be so great.
Pokemon Snap doing him in. Yeah, that's a fun game. I mean, it was a lot of fun on, it was what, N64 originally. Very fun 64. There with the old Rumble Pack as well. I'm curious to see if they still have some of those kind of gimmicks, like if you throw 3 apples into water, some kind of Pokemon will pop up.
Oh, for sure.
If you do this in different ways, I hope all that's in there. I hope there's more replayability. That's one issue I had with the first one. Like, after you play a level a certain amount of times and you get your really, really high scores up there, there's only so much you can do other than taking pictures and printing them out here and there. So I'm hoping there's a little bit more of somewhat replayability, but I think progression in general. Give us ways to progress, maybe even throw some DLC in there with some additional islands or whatever in this region. I think that could be a great way for Nintendo to kind of keep this franchise going and keep it fresh.
Yeah, I really hope they do, considering the price tag is the full price tag at $60 for this game. Is what I was seeing online. So if it is going to be the full price of $60, I would really hope there is some replayability to it. The original Pokemon Snap for 64, granted 64 games were like $29.99. So, you're only paying $30 for it, half of what this game's cost, but it had decent replayability to it. I remember playing it for quite a long time before like other N64 games came out. That took my attention away. But yeah, I mean, I think it serves its purpose. And I think it, with it being on a mobile device this time, I have a feeling there's going to be a way, there's going to be like a multiplayer version. I feel like there has to be a way to like, or not maybe have like multiplayer, but have like a community aspect to Pokemon Snap as well, since it's going to be on a portable unit. But we'll have to wait to see for that. But yeah, I'm super excited for Pokemon Snap coming out to the Switch. And I cannot wait for April.
Absolutely. But one game you will have to wait for, originally scheduled to come out in fall 2021, was Hogwarts Legacy. Wizards, you're going to have to wave your wand a little bit longer because it is heading over to 2022. Another game delay, John. We had Outriders get delayed from February to April. Now, again, a delay coming through. This one a little bit longer, probably around the same. Instead of 2 months, it's probably going to be 4 or 5 months. Hogwarts Legacy being bumped to 2022. A bummer for Hogwarts fans out there, but overall, it's one of those things we've talked about a decent bit here with these delays coming out. If game developers are going to delay a game, we hope they do it. We hope they fulfill what they're looking for. Again, we've seen some games that have come out and done that very well. We've seen other games that have delayed a few times and still come out quite buggy. I think in the end, most gamers, while they're going to be disappointed up front, would prefer the game to be clean on release. So whether that means 3 months delayed, 6 months delayed, or maybe even like Halo, where it's almost a full year delayed, if the game comes out nice and clean, if it comes out functional, if it comes out less buggy than it should, I think the delays are going to be a good thing. So in the end, I hope this is one of those cases where the delay to 2022 is a good move.
Yeah, they just don't want to be the next Cyberpunk. And I can't blame them. I think a lot of studios are kind of nervous to see their game get a whole lot of hype, and then they're still trying to put the finishing touches on this game during a pandemic, working from home. They don't want to rush it. They literally do not want to be the next Cyberpunk. So yeah, I don't blame them. Delay it to 2022. That's fine by me. I don't think there's a single person out there that should be upset. Their official Discord server, it was all pretty much positive. I probably put it at like 98% positive reaction on their Discord server. So that should say something. Like, the gaming community, we're not like crazy. We're not these packs of mad people demanding the games be released on time and or early. We're not demanding like. I
mean, it depends where you look, to be honest. There are some rabid fans out there.
Yeah, and they do not represent the overall base of the gaming community. The overall gaming community is fairly level-headed, unless you're in League of Legends. They're pretty level-headed. They understand what's going on in the world, and if it needs to be delayed, they're fine with that. Especially if you're a Harry Potter fan. You don't want to see something possibly tarnish a legacy that is like a Harry Potter. That is a massive name out there. That's kind of like Star Wars. Like if a Star Wars game came out and it was anything like what Cyberpunk was, especially on older generation consoles, that would really tarnish the name of Star Wars. That would really tarnish the name of Harry Potter. So you don't want to go down that rabbit hole. You don't want to go down that comeback story like No Man's Sky had to go on a 2-year journey to have a comeback kind of thing. Delay it. It's fine. People are like, we're level-headed. Gamers are level-headed when it comes to this kind of stuff. Delay it. It's completely fine. Most normal gamers are completely fine with this decision.
Going from normal gamers to, I don't know, maybe bougier gamers. John, if you want to go ahead and pull this one up, remember to take your transition slide off. We do have CES this week. We had a lot of new different things come out, from new design TVs to laptops to mice to everything under the sun when it comes to technology. One thing I was not expecting to see there, but did come out, is Razer showcasing a new RGB face mask at CES this week. So again, guys, if you're looking to go out there and be healthy with your mask on, make sure you don't spread the virus. That's great. If you want to do it with some RGB colors, that is now an option as well.
Joey, I'm going to be completely honest here. I kind of like this, and I hate Razer. I'm not a big Razer fan. Like, if you listen to the show, I critique them quite well. I think their products break down way too easily, which actually terrifies me about these masks, because if they have the same kind of quality as their keyboard and mice, it will be no good after 3 months. So you know what? I like it. I really do. I prefer the smoke black color. It's transparent, so you can still see the person's mouth move, which I think is smart. It's incredibly smart, especially for our deaf members of the community out there that need to see the lips, to read lips, to try to understand better. I think it's a solid step in the right direction for that. The fact that it's a ventilator and it's I believe it's classified as an N95 respirator.
I believe it is.
Yeah. So that's even a bigger thing there too, because that's medical grade. That's essentially, it's exactly what the doctors and healthcare workers battling the pandemic wear to keep themselves and their families safe while they're at work. So it's right there. An auto sterilization function, Joey. This mask is going to be over $100. It's going to be over $200 easily. There's a lot of things compacted in here. Yeah, the RGB is going to be the big standout factor here, but the fact that it's clear, you can see through it, and the fact that it's an N95, I think is a huge step, and it's reusable. That is absolutely massive in present day pandemic world. So I think it's huge. I think it actually looks good too. I kind of like it. And yes, T-Spans, it is real.
This is real. T-Spans, 100% real.
Yeah, I actually like this a lot.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. I think the thing for me is the fact that it just came out from a gaming company kind of feels interesting. It feels like one of those things you would not expect from a company that's mainly known for making peripherals. But here it is, and it does it with that gamer flair with the RGB coming in as well.
Yeah, I kind of want to get one.
I really don't think you need to spend $200 on a mask, but that's a topic for another day, sir, if you want to get that Pokemon Snap as well. Let's talk a little bit about what we talked about on Monday, diving in a bit deeper because more news has come out. So on Monday, we talked about Lucasfilm Games. When Disney originally took over the Star Wars franchise, they said, hey, LucasArts, you're no longer a thing. We're getting rid of you. And they took out the game studios behind the Star Wars games. Then from there, they ended up making a deal with EA. That deal, I really don't know the full length of it. I think it was about a 10-year deal that got made for exclusivity when it comes to Star Wars games. And then we eventually, as of Monday, saw Disney recreate a studio, or at least an overarching umbrella body for the Lucas games, and named it Lucasfilm Games. So again, LucasArts to nothing, back to Lucasfilm Games. It's back as a thing. Disney wants to continue to expand on this. So we got that on Monday. So why did they do this? We're all questioning, like, okay, does this mean there's going to be something more coming out of this? Is it just a branding change? What does this exactly mean, and how's it all going to break down? Well, we started to get our answer on Tuesday. Since then, on Tuesday, Lucasfilm Games, the new account, came out and announced alongside Bethesda that Machine Games was working on a new Indiana Jones game with Todd Howard overseeing it as the executive producer. So this is them saying, hey, not only have we rebranded, not only are we looking to do more in the gaming space, but we're going to reactivate an old IP that hasn't had a game since, I think, the original Xbox. And they went ahead and teased it on this. And then on top of that, people started doing some investigation and looked back at a call from Todd Howard, I believe back in October, or it might have even been in September, where Todd Howard actually had little images that kind of teased Indiana Jones in the back of one of his cameras, similar to what we saw with Phil Spencer in the Xbox Series S earlier in the year. So cool. So many teasers coming out from the Xbox/Bethesda side. But John, this is big. So we see not only Disney reuniting this really gaming of Lucasfilms under one umbrella, but continuing to bring out IPs. And we'll go into the next one soon. But what are your thoughts on an Indiana Jones game? I kind of want to see something that mixes like Tomb Raider and Uncharted coming out here. But I'm super excited for the idea of that franchise once again being in gaming.
I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. I'm actually not an Indiana Jones fan. And the announcement really didn't do anything for me. Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think the fact that, the title coming back is a big thing. I think it's going to get a lot of people excited. I don't know. I just never got into Indiana Jones, but I can see why it's massive. I know why it's massive. It's a legendary title. It's a legendary character that spans generations. It's one of those things that's going to get your Gen X excited, your millennials, and your educated Zoomers out there that have seen the old school Indiana Jones movies from their parents or other family relatives, or if they stumbled across it. It's a good series. It's a good, it's a good, what's the word I want to use? Universe. The Indiana Jones universe is very entertaining. And I think if they do go along the lines of like a Tomb Raider, like an Uncharted, I think it'd be a very successful game. So yeah, I think it's a massive announcement that a lot of people should be excited for.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things for me is a little bit about the possibility of exclusivity here. And I'm curious to get your thoughts on this as well, especially as someone who didn't really dive too far into the Indiana Jones universe. So with Bethesda being the one making the games and Machine Games under that Bethesda umbrella, and Microsoft in the somewhere in the process of acquiring Bethesda, probably to be finished in the next month or so, do you think this is a game we could see be exclusive to the Xbox platforms of Xbox consoles, mobile, and PC? Or do you see Lucasfilm saying, hey, this is an IP that needs to be shared between everyone, and we'll see it on at least on PlayStation in addition to those consoles, maybe on Nintendo Switch as well?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be exclusive. I think Xbox and Microsoft are the more open-minded companies out there. When it comes to like a Halo, yeah, I mean, obviously that's going to stay exclusive. That's not going to go to PlayStation. It's not going to go to Switch. But I feel like Lucasfilm would want this to be available to the masses. I just really don't see Xbox and Microsoft making it an exclusive and kind of limiting it to the Xbox and the PC. Granted, that is a good chunk of gamers out there. I just feel like the PlayStation population worldwide, I feel like that would have some negative kickback if it was just an Xbox exclusive.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not going to come out till later in the year, but there's going to be some PlayStation kickback on some exclusives coming out here soon. But one of the things here, and I think you can go both ways on it. When you look at Spider-Man, for example, that's technically the video game rights are owned by Marvel and Disney, and they did make that exclusive to the PlayStation platform. This is one argument that a lot of people are coming out with regarding exclusivity. Now, I think my argument to that would be, when you look at the overall Spider-Man character, you also have to factor in that Sony has the movie rights. And when you kind of have that negotiation going on, maybe Marvel and Disney gave them those exclusive video game rights because there was an exchange of those movie rights as well involved into that. So I think it's a bit of a two-way trade, not just purely Disney saying, hey, have Spider-Man as an exclusive character in your console and on your platform, but rather give us something in return as well. Now with Xbox, I think there's a possibility of exclusivity being there because Xbox doesn't purely look at just launching on a console anymore. They look at putting it on cloud gaming, so you can get it on laptops or mobile phones, tablets, wherever. They also launch on PC day one as well. So I think exclusivity could be a factor here, especially with, again, Indiana Jones is big. It's a huge IP, but I don't think it's as big as something like a Star Wars. So I think it is something that could still have exclusivity in a conversation. Do I think it's exclusive? Honestly, no. I think they put it everywhere except Switch. I don't think Switch will be able to handle it, but I think it'll go on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, mobile with cloud, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it'll be available everywhere, but I would not be surprised if there is some kind of deal work for Indiana Jones. Now, the next one we're going to go into is Star Wars, because there has been a long-standing deal with EA that has been broken. We don't exactly know how it was broken, if it was paid off or renegotiated, but EA is no longer the exclusive holder of Star Wars IP rights in gaming. So it's been nearly a decade of them having it. We've seen Battlefront. We saw, what is it? Jedi Fallen Order, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is great. High acclaim. Battlefront has had a lot of mixed reviews out there. Squadrons, a lot of mixed reviews. So EA in general has done some things well with the Star Wars IP, mainly Fallen Order, and a lot of other things that have been highly criticized and not very well acclaimed. So Disney stepped in and said, hey, we see a lot of growth in gaming in 2020. We see a lot of hype around Star Wars right now with The Mandalorian. How can we capitalize on this? And they didn't think EA alone would be able to get it done. So while they're still going to be working with EA, it doesn't seem like EA has that exclusivity anymore. We know at least one other partner coming out in Star Wars, and that is Ubisoft. Ubisoft Massive is working with Lucasfilm's Games to go ahead and create an open world Star Wars game now, which could be super hype. A lot of people have been asking for this for a very long time. But on top of that, with them partnering with Ubisoft now, that most likely means that agreement with EA, again, has been either broken or altered, or something has changed there in a major way. So EA will still be making Star Wars games. We don't know what they will be. But on top of that, we have Ubisoft and probably a couple others that I think will get announced later this year as well.
All right, if I could get all the gamers in the universe to just start a slow clap. We just need to start a slow clap. Disney finally did something right with Star Wars. EA is no longer the exclusive holder to Star Wars video games. It's absolutely fantastic, Joey. It's like they listened to the show on Monday when we said Disney needs to find a way to buy out EA's exclusivity to Star Wars games. Because, look, yes, they've had some good games, but a good majority of them have been bad. EA itself is a company that has gone downhill so far in the last 10 years. It is absolutely ridiculous. You add in the loot box scandal and everything else in there. EA is not exactly the shining star of video gaming anymore. And a lot of people, especially in Battlefield 2, were very upset with EA and the whole loot box situation. It was essentially pay to win, but it was also gambling at the exact same time. Nobody likes that. So, I think this is a good smack against EA. Disney coming out saying, hey, look, we want to do a lot more with this title. We don't feel like, again, it's pure speculation, we don't feel like you're going to be the only one that could do this. We need to bring in reinforcements to help you out, EA. And we're going to bring in studios that put out bangers of games left and right, without the whole loot box scandal, without all that other BS that EA throws in there. So I think it's incredibly smart. It's so smart for Lucasfilm's Game and Disney to open this up to other developers. We're going to get more Star Wars content, just kind of like what we're seeing on Disney Plus right now. Like you said, Joey, The Mandalorian and all those announcements that came out towards the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian, with, the Boba Fett series, and a lot of others that were announced too. You should definitely check those out, those announcements, if you're a Star Wars fan. But the fact that these games are now going to come out from multiple different developers is huge. And it's going to expand on the lore. As Disney said, these games are going to add to the official lore of Star Wars. I think it's going to be absolutely massive. And I think EA has to take it, because otherwise, if they throw a fit, they're going to lose it altogether. They do still have some ability to create Star Wars titles. They're not going to be the only one doing it now, which is going to put pressure on them to up their game to put out a banger of a game.
Yeah, I think one of the things with this that maybe it's just Disney coming into their own here and realizing something, but it just doesn't feel like Disney has ever really understood the full grasp of the Star Wars IP until now. Because, yeah, we got movies. We had movie 7 come out, 8, 9. Yeah, we had some great Lego games. There were some great action figures here and there, but it didn't really feel like Disney ever really capitalized on it outside of movies here and there. Now we see them looking at TV shows, The Mandalorian doing extremely well. You have a Boba Fett series coming out. You have a number of other series and movies that got announced as well. Then you have the books. Again, Star Wars books have always been there, but it feels like they're upping that game. They're making them more and more public. You have one that just hit the New York Times #1 bestseller list today. There's just so much going on in Star Wars, and now gaming is the same thing. Gaming as a revenue, when it comes to entertainment, beat out sports, music, and movies all combined last year. That's phenomenally huge. And now on top of that, with Star Wars being as big as it already is, combine that with those video game numbers, and Disney is seeing so much room for profit here. And I think that is why we're making this deal, because, yeah, you're going to pay more money right up front to get EA to break this deal. But now you can work with Ubisoft, who has a ton of connections. Maybe you jump back into something like Obsidian under that Microsoft umbrella, who worked on Knights of the Old Republic 2. BioWare with EA also did Knights of the Old Republic, the original. Again, still under EA, but now that this deal is broken, EA might feel a little bit more of a pull to try to get more involved with these Star Wars games so that an exclusivity license doesn't go to someone like an Ubisoft or a Microsoft later down the line. So there's a lot of different pulls here, and I think it's going to be great for the industry, but also great for Star Wars fans, because now you're not just limited to, I don't know how many studios EA has, like 5 to 7 studios. Now you can branch out and get those Ubisoft studios, those Sony studios, those Microsoft studios, maybe even indie developers as well, like we see with Riot Games, and jump out there, explore this universe, this galaxy that is so big and really is no longer pigeonholed where it was in gaming before. So I think it's good that EA is still working on games, but I think it's a huge win for Star Wars fans and gamers in general that this IP is now being broadly spread out much more. The one caveat, in a sense, When it comes to Ubisoft Massive in this new open world game, it is going to be headed up by the creative director of The Division 2. I thought The Division was all right. The Division 2 came out and didn't do too great. Overall, it did get quite a few negative reviews. Its player base didn't stick around for very long. So I'm a little bit concerned with that. At the same point, it is a Star Wars game that does carry the power of that IP. So even with the negativity that could come out, it does seem to pull in players regardless. Anything else on Star Wars, the IP, Division 2, good actions here?
Division 2 was fun because it was in downtown DC. That was kind of cool.
Did you even buy the game?
No, I played the demo.
Thank you. That's what I thought. That is what I thought. So, guys, I actually did make a Reddit post. We can pimp our Reddit a little bit here. Reddit, it's going to be r/OTN. We haven't used it a ton yet, but I did go ahead and put up a post there to get some ideas on Star Wars games. One thing we can tell you is that Disney is very open. They're looking at all different ideas here. They're willing to take ideas on what character stories you want explored, on what type of games you want, whether it be multiplayer heavy, single player, open world. I don't know, maybe you even want an auto chest or auto brawler with Star Wars characters, whatever you want. They're willing to look at different ideas right now. So now is a great time to at least come out, express your thoughts. Maybe you want to see something like Obsidian that worked on Knights of the Old Republic 2. Maybe you want them to pick up a new Star Wars project of some sense. So go ahead and list studios out as well. But we did go ahead and start a thread there to see what people's thoughts are, what kind of games you guys are looking for, and what stories you want explored. So go ahead and post on there. I have not posted my thoughts yet. I'll probably post them this weekend, but I do have quite a few Star Wars games in the back of my head as well.
All I have to say is do not post on there Jar Jar Binks. That is not a real character. Jar Jar Binks should never be brought back up in the Star Wars universe. Leave him in whatever it was, like in episode 1 and 2. We don't need Jar Jar Binks anything, period. You know what? I take that back. Bring him back as a raid boss so we can kill him. Simple as that. No one likes Jar Jar Binks.
I think we need a Sith Jar Jar Binks story.
No.
Like where we found out he was an operative for the Sith and then he works his way through. I don't know. I think there's room for Jar Jar Binks here. Misa thinks, you know.
I know where you live. I know where you live, and I'll drive over there and slap you.
But yes, guys, more Star Wars games coming. Again, I can't tell you what they'll be, but I know there's at least 2 more announcements to be made by Lucasfilm Games later this year. I think you'll see them before E3, but if not, you will definitely be seeing them at E3. There might be some partnership deals being worked on there, but there's at least 2, maybe even 3 more games in the works that will be announced for 2021. They won't be coming out in 2021, but you'll at least hear the projects. Upcoming, looking toward next week, John, Capcom will be showcasing Resident Evil Village up there for one of the big potential horror game titles of the year on January 21st at 10 p.m. GMT. I did not do the comparison to Eastern Time or Pacific Time on that one, but you'll see a new trailer, some series news for Resident Evil, as well as a first look at gameplay for that game. Again, John and I are both not big horror game fans, but Resident Evil Village is definitely one to look forward to if you are a horror game fan. On top of that, I'd also recommend The Medium. That's coming out by Blooper Team. I believe it's going to be on Xbox Game Pass for console and PC, and it comes out later this month. It's going to be one of those games that really dives into utilizing the engine, as it's going to render 2 environments at the same time. So some really cool horror games coming out here in 2021. Anything else on Resident Evil Village, sir? I know you're a big zombie game fan.
Oh, totally. Zombie, not the most overrated genre used in video games ever.
Absolutely. Last but not least, guys, we talked about it last week, and there are some complications that have come with it, but the new LCS lock-in preseason tournament, I believe it's still set to kick off on January 15th with the group stage. There is some stuff back and forth with multiple teams catching COVID. I do not know how they're going to impact the game schedule as of yet. I think the teams that have caught it so far and have been confirmed are CLG and Dignitas. I believe both have tested positive. Not 100% sure on that. So we'll try to keep you updated. You'll want to check out our Twitter for that one. That's at LvLUp Live on Twitter. We'll try to keep updates as that tournament draws a little bit closer. Again, set to kick off tomorrow, but there could be some additional complications due to COVID. I think that does it, John. Again, shorter episode this week, guys. As we head into the next couple weeks, we have a lot of big gaming news, but also a lot of esport leagues kicking off. LCS kicking off with this preseason tournament and then jumping into the regular season. The LCK kicked off today. You have LEC kicking off soon. Overwatch League working its way back into action. Call of Duty League as well. So once we get past this week and head into the next week, it's back into that hot and heavy esports action, as well as some great more gaming news for 2021.
Well, Nation, that will do it for this edition of LvLUp Live. But before you go, head over to patreon.com/OTN and consider becoming a part of the Overtime Network. There's a tongue twister for you. In return, you will get access to exclusive content that nobody else in the world can get unless they're a part of OTN Media. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you're following the show here on Twitch to catch the next episode of LvLUp Live. If you listen to the show on our podcast feed, make sure you leave us a review and an awesome rating. LvLUp Podcast is available on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. We would love to hear from you. In fact, we love to hear from the entire LvLUp Nation so much. There's other ways for you to reach out to us. Joey, where else can the LvLUp Nation go to hit us up?
LvLUp Nation, head on over to Twitter and find us at LvLUp Live. That's LvLUP Live. In addition to that, you can follow the umbrella company OTN Media as well on Twitter and Facebook at OTN Media and on Instagram at OTN_media. Last but not least, hit us up with a follow, maybe even a Twitch Prime sub on Twitch. This show, Mondays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time at twitch.tv/OTN Media. A number of other streams throughout the week and some great content coming to you guys in 2021.
All right, make sure you tune in this upcoming Monday, January 18th, as we cover the latest and greatest in gaming and esports news. Do your ears and eyes a favor. Hit that sub and follow button here on Twitch to know when the next episode of LvLUp Live is ready for your viewing pleasures. We'll catch you all on Monday. Have a great weekend. Remember, be nice to your fellow gamers online. And as always,
Level up.